Heidi ho, how's it go? Welcome to Whole Lotta Rich. I'm Rich Latta. Today we have a special returning guest. Clay is back. Clay from the Deep Focus Show. Welcome, Clay. How are
Hello.
things going in your world?
Pretty good, pretty good. Excited to be back. Our last episode was with Genesis. Now we're here to talk about a completely different band that's totally different than Genesis.
Yeah, opposite end of the spectrum almost.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we are rating and ranking the 8 studio albums of Modest Mouse, highly acclaimed indie rock band from the Pacific Northwest, who went on to find mainstream success on a major label with their album Good News for People Who Love Bad News. Thanks especially to the mega hit Float On.
Mm.
Looking at Rate Your Music as of this recording, we see that only Modest Mouse's first 3 albums are bolded,
Oh,
which
wow.
means the ratings are high enough for the album to be considered exceptionally good. These
Mm.
early albums are generally more underground and less pop oriented than the band's later work. I think that's safe to say. So my impression is there's a ton of fans who dig their early stuff and were kind of turned off when the band got big. Or
Perhaps.
it might have been the case that a lot of new people came on board with Float On, but didn't vibe with the rest of the album. But yeah, this is a very interesting band. So, what is your background with Modest Mouse, Clay?
Well, I first discovered them with their hit single Float On. I remember watching the music video on VH1 whenever I was a kid with the sheep. I think there's sheep in that music video.
Yeah.
And it's very like there's almost like puppetry happening in that music video. It's pretty cool. Um, but I didn't really buy any of their albums until I was like 13. I bought the one that had Float On it, Good News for People Who Love Bad News. And from there, I listened to the rest of their albums. I've been a fan, I could say. I'd say I'm a pretty good fan, actually. A lot
All
of people
right.
probably wouldn't expect it to be up my alley, but I do enjoy them.
Going through all the albums for this video, did you become more of a fan?
I'd say so, yeah.
All right.
Um, but my favorite albums remain the same, I would
Okay.
say.
Okay. As for myself, like you, like most people, I came on board with Float On and also bought the album not long after it came out.
Hmm.
I also had copies of The Moon and Antarctica and We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. I'll go ahead and say I love Modest Mouse's music, and I think Isaac Brock is a very thoughtful lyricist.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's get into this. You're the guest, Clay. I'll give you the option of either going first or going second.
I'll go ahead and kick it off. Uh,
Great.
my least favorite Mouse album is The Golden Casket from 2021. It opens with Fuck Your Acid Trip. I don't think it's their best opener from their albums. I don't like when Isaac Brock sings in a sort of deeper voice. It's not very appealing to me, and he does that on here. I like the guitar on We Are Between. The song sounds like a good song to drive to. It's pretty decent. We're Lucky is contemplative. It's also decent. None of these tracks are so far are very, very strong compared because Modest Mouse, I think, really does well on side A of their albums. This one is kind of lacking. Walking and Running is good. The vocals do sound a bit lame though, but the guitar part at the end is pretty good. Wooden Soldiers has the Isaac Brock singing in a deep voice again. It's also a bit too long. Transmitting Receiving has Isaac Speaks singing, also in a deeper voice, which I don't like at all. The Sun Hasn't Left is okay, but I don't care for the electronic elements on that one. Lace Your Shoes is a bit of a sleeper. It's a bit bed, as I would say. Never Fuck a Spider on the Fly is probably my favorite song here. It's pretty good. Leave a Light On is also good. Yeah, this album I think is pretty back heavy. I like the songs more on side B than side A. It has creative ideas and everything, but it never fully comes together for me. I think it's definitely their weakest one and a bit of a letdown after their last album. I'm going 3 stars for that.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I have seen other negative opinions about that album,
Mhm.
uh, but I will be talking about it later.
Oh.
My number eight is This is a Long Drive for Someone with Nothing to Think About. The debut came out in 1996. This strikes me as a very indie album. There's little regard for commercialism here. Modest Mouse are very much doing their own thing. Isaac Brock has an unusual voice with a slight lisp that works really well for their music, which often feels loose and rambling, yet there's an underlying tension. Brock's guitar style is already distinctive here, nervous, twangy, and jagged, sometimes rhythmic, sometimes more rhythmic than melodic. The album has a cool vibe. There are a lot of mid-tempo tunes here that cruise along like driving down a highway in the desert. Other tunes are more powerful and wild. The track Tundra/Desert gets like that after a quiet intro. The final third of the album is the strongest. Ohio is kind of trippy the way it creates the illusion that it's slowing down. Exit does not exist, and Make Everyone Happy/Mechanical Birds are the two songs here I would call excellent. Exit has ambiguous lyrics that seem to suggest the singer is contemplating suicide, but that's open to interpretation. Make Everyone Happy/Mechanical Birds starts off as an enjoyable, rather ramshackle tune before transforming into the Wild Mechanical Birds segment, which is a very fitting title. Elsewhere on the album, there are some mid songs that are just okay, such as Might, Ionizes and Atomizes, and Dog Paddle, in which the members of the band switched instruments to deliver a rather rudimentary tune. But I do like this album overall. They would eventually get better, in my opinion, but this is a solid debut. 3.75 stars, really good.
Nice, nice. That is also my number. Well, that's my number seven. Following up with you, the album lives up to its name in the opening song Dramamine. It sounds like you're driving through the city lights at 2 a.m. It's a great song. It's definitely my favorite on this album. I like the guitar licks in this one as well. The song feels a bit melancholic, which is what Modest Mouse does best. Breakthrough is the first Modest Mouse song where Isaac Brock has his usual angryish sounding voice. The production is a bit lo-fi and sounds distorted, which is a big issue I have with this album. Guitar licks. I like the bass in this song. It's not my favorite though. I love the twisty sounding riff on Custom Concern. Might is a bit of a rocking sounding song. It's fine. Lounge is a bit of a weird one. I like the guitar riff, but don't care for the way it flows. I'm not a fan of Brock's vocals on this one either. It kind of meanders a bit as well, the song. Beachside Property is longer, but this is a better song. Ionizes and Atomizes starts off as a little bit slow and then it gets louder. It's okay. Head South is decent, but by this point of the album, I'm starting to feel the length. Dog Paddle, I think, is the worst song on here. Isaac Brock kind of coughs in this song, and I don't like that. Novocaine Stain is pretty good. Tundra/Desert also starts off as a little bit sleepy, but explodes into a low quality wall of sound. Ohio is one of my favorites on this one as well. That's a cool song. I do love Exit Does Not Exist as well. Really good. Very depressing lyrics. Talking Shit is another great song, probably my top two on this album next to Dramamine. And the final two songs are decent. Overall, this is a fine debut, but not their best by any means. I'm going 3 stars.
Wow, another three. Okay.
Yeah.
My number seven is The Moon and Antarctica, their third studio album from the year
Whoa.
2000. Yeah, I know a lot of people, I probably have this as number one. Um, this is kind of a depressing album, touching on depression, alienation, and some of the darker sides of life. It's more introspective, philosophical, and existential than previous album, The Lonesome Crowded West, which is angrier and focused outward on society. Isaac Brock is not a technically great singer, but he's very expressive and great in his own way. I love the way he sort of tumbles over the words in the opening song, Third Planet. Next track, Gravity Rides Everything, is built around a nice acoustic guitar strum. Dark Center of the Universe rocks. And I love the serene bridge in the middle. There's a cool oscillator sound in there too. Perfect Disguise is close to greatness, featuring some banjo and lap steel, as well as some great backing vocals. Several of these tracks have violin. Paper Thin Walls is the weakest track. It's a bit sing-songy, but not bad. The one song I'd call excellent is A Different City, which has churning, killer rock moments mixed with softer ones and fantastic lyrics. I Came as a Rat reminds me of the Pixies and gets kind of trippy, which I love. Lives is kind of a downer with a middle section that's a bit more uplifting, but then it ends on a downer note. There's some cool backwards guitar, damn good tune. And then the final track is perhaps the hardest hitting rocker of the bunch. They really bash it out. So it's a bit of a pessimistic record, and it doesn't paint people in the most positive light, but I can relate to it. It reminds me of a darker time when I was much younger and life looked pretty bleak. I don't really think the album is overwhelmingly depressing, though. It just kind of tells you the way things are, and that's that. Isaac is wrestling with mortality without giving in completely to nihilism. In summary, this is not quite as good as the Lonesome Crowded West for me, which has a bit more in the way of excellent songs, but it's a solid 4 stars.
Nice. I will be talking about that much later. Number 6, I believe is what we're on, is An Eraser in the Maze, their newest one from this year. Completely new listen for me, so I'll need some time to sit with it. The opening, Picking Dragons Pockets, is very, very promising. Sounds like Good News era Modest Mouse. I think it has a slightly optimistic feel to it as well. I love whenever Modest Mouse drifts into optimism because they're usually pretty depressing sometimes. Remember Yourself is a nice acoustic number. I feel like the guitars are more refined on this album, as evident by the next song, Life's a Dream. Very atmospheric. Third Side of the Moon is fine, but it's not very catchy. Dog Bed in Heaven is a cool acoustic number. It's paired with Give It a Skeleton, which is also pretty good. Interlude is a standard interlude, but Modest Mouse has great interludes. I feel like this one could have been better. I Can't Talk Right Now has Isaac Brock singing in a deeper register again. It could have fit in with the previous album. It's not my favorite on this one. Speak and Spell sounds like 90s alternative music. probably the most rocking song on this album. Rotten Fruit has a weird electronic element to it. It's also not my favorite on here. It features PK, 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 which I think is actually a pseudonym for the track's producer, Justin Raisin. Knocked Down by Waves is an acoustic interlude. It's decent. Absolutely Necessary Never kind of sounds like Depeche Mode for me some reason, question mark. I don't know. It's pretty good. Song About Nothing is a little catchy, but it isn't my favorite. Stoner Party sucks, but it's only 30 seconds. And Look How Far is great. I wish it was longer because it's only like 2 minutes. Pretty decent. I think it ends on a good note. This is a strong 3.5 star album. If I have enough time to sit with it, it could probably be 4 stars, but I keeping it at 3.5 for now. Probably like a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay. Well, don't switch scales on me. We're sticking with the 5 point scale for now. So 3.5, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to continue my streak of pissing off fans of their early stuff. My number six is The Lonesome Crowded West. The second album is from 1997. I heard this one a long time ago and didn't like it. Listening again more recently, the opening track still rubbed me the wrong way. It got better toward the end, though, when it starts rocking out. The rest of these songs turned out to be very good, and a few are great. There are interesting juxtapositions between loud, frantic songs and more vulnerable, reflective songs. The band expand their sound in a few places, adding turntables to the second track, Heart Cook's Brain, and a fiddle to Jesus Christ Was an Only Child. The latter also has a really weird instrument that I can't identify. It sounds cool though. Incidentally, according to the Bible, Jesus actually did have siblings. Convenient Parking, a song that laments urban sprawl, has a really cool groove and reflects the album's main theme, that the West is being paved over and commercialized. The next track, Lounge, Closing Time, is downright catchy, at least in places. Doing the Cockroach, unfortunately, has some gross lyrics, but if I can manage to ignore them, it's a very good tune. The songs I would call excellent are Trailer Trash, Polar Opposites, and the last track, Styrofoam Boots slash It's All Nice on Ice, All Right, which starts off as a nice acoustic song before the drums kick in during the Nice on Ice segment, which apparently refers to being dead. The song provides a good climax to the album. Other notable tracks include Shit Luck, which completely cuts loose and bashes it out. It's good to have a song like that on this album. It sounds like primitive Led Zeppelin. Then there's Trucker's Atlas, which goes on for 11 minutes. It meanders quite a bit, yet it's still an enjoyable jam. There's a weird sound that sticks out around the 9 minute mark, and the drums pick up at the end. So it turns out I like this one way more than I used to. I guess I just needed more time with it. 4 stars.
Well, that is my number five, The Lonesome Crowded West. The album opens with Teeth's Like God's Shoe Shine, which is very abrasive and very immediate. I think Isaac sounds a little better than he did on the debut for this album. That song is also very dynamic, altering between abrasiveness to slower parts at the end. Heart Cook's Brain has a very creaky sounding guitar riff. It's pretty good. Convenient Parking has a driving guitar riff as well. I don't like the double vocal part Isaac has going on the verses on this song. It sounds chaotic. Lounge has a very positive sounding riff that's very late 90s. It almost sounds summery. And I like the way it slows down at the end. I love Jesus Christ Was an Only Child. Very country, kind of weenish too, a little bit, reminiscent of their country album, Ween's country album. Doing the Cockroach sounds like it could have been on the following album. It's a very strong highlight. Cowboy Dan, another highlight. Two very great songs in a row. This one is my favorite on the album. It tells a story, and it's also quite depressing too. Trailer Trash is another strong song. You hear things about albums being front loaded or back loaded, but I think this album is middle loaded because I really like the songs in the middle of this album. Out of Gas is a good song. I like the drumming. It's kind of short though. Long Distance Drunk is an acoustic song. It's a bit sleepy. Shit Luck, probably the heaviest song on here, right after a soft song. It rules. Trucker's Atlas is a long song at 10 minutes long and has Isaac Brock singing very angrily again. Drumming is killer on this one, though, as well. And I like the lyrics on Polar Opposites. I think it's about alcoholism. Bankrupt on Selling is good, but a bit sleepy. And the last track is decent. Overall, this is a massive improvement over the debut. They still haven't totally found their footing, but it's a great outing. I'm going with a light 4 stars here.
All right, cool. My number five is their eighth most recent studio album, An Eraser and a Maze. Came out earlier this year, 2026. Modest Mouse return with a reconfigured lineup. Sadly, they lost founding drummer Jeremiah Green to cancer a few years earlier. Fuck cancer. He is replaced by Damon Cox. Also new to the band is guitarist Simon O'Connor and keyboardist Keith Carmen. An Eraser and a Maze has noticeably more keyboard and synth than we've heard on a Modest Mouse record before, and I think it sounds great. The opening cut, Picking Dragons Pockets, is absolute gold, definitely one of their strongest album openers. It begins with some distorted bass, similar to the way the Golden Casket began. The song soon blasts off triumphantly. The lyrics are vague, but they seem to address the unstable state of the world and the crazy people in it. Unfortunately, the rest of the album doesn't quite maintain the high standard set by Picking Dragons Pockets, but it's still very strong. I'm not sure what Life's a Dream is supposed to mean, but I dig the cool guitar. Dogbed in Heaven slash Give It a Skeleton isn't one of the stronger tracks, but it is good. There are no drums. Instead, we get cool tuned percussion. Speak and Spell or Not is excellent, with more great guitar and some great lyrics that are quite positive in places. Rotten Fruit has some killer synth, as does Absolutely Necessary Never. Knocked Down by Waves is just a little over 1 minute in length, but I think it's gold. A rather unhinged performance. The stoner party chant that you hated, that takes me back to high school when I first heard it. I think we sang it party hardy rock and roll, drink a barrel, smoke a bowl.
Ooh.
That's just an old thing that what was said, just a saying. Look How Far is a cool tune, this time pretty negative, with lyrics that go, Look how far we haven't come. Oh my God, we're so fucking dumb. And then the last track, Impossible Some Days, is just okay. So Brock brings some of the positivity from the last album, but he also brings the negative, striking a balance between the two. Brock sounds really good, as does everyone in the new band. I can't quite get to excellent on this, but it's close. 4.25 stars, and I could see my rating going up even higher given time.
Nice, nice. My number four is their 2015 album, Strangers to Ourselves. This was the first album that I followed closely whenever it came out. I remember the lead single was Lampshades on Fire, which I think is a great single. I love the ba 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 da da on it, the bas, and the piano is pretty cool. The title track opens the album and it's decent. It's a bit depressing, harkening back to their older songs. Shit in Your Cup is a menacing sounding tune. It's pretty good. Pistol is not great. I don't like Isaac's vocals on this one. It also sounds a bit 90s industrial with the drums. And he's also singing in a deep voice, which I don't like whenever Isaac does that. Ansel is good though, has a fun vibe to it. The Ground Walks with Time in a Box is fantastic. My favorite song on here. It sounds like vintage Modest Mouse, or at least what they were doing on a couple albums ago. Coyotes is gentle and melodic. It's nice. Pups to Dust is a bit playful, folky at points. Sugar Boats has a cool, playful piano. Brock also sounds a little bit unhinged on this one, which he does best. Wicked Campaign sounds a bit modern for its time. Be Brave sounds triumphant. God is an Indian and You're an Asshole, I wish was longer. It's a great tune, but it's very short. The Tortoise and the Tourist tells a story. It's Modest Mouse doing what they do best, working with a great narrative here. And the closer leaves the album on a reflective note. Overall, this is a strong comeback album. I think it's their longest gap between albums to date from like, I think 7 or 8 years. But they did release an EP in between that time. But this is another 4-star album. I think it's really good.
All
Great.
right. What do you know? We line up. My
Oh,
number four is Strangers to Ourselves. It's their sixth studio album. Like you said, came out in 2015. And this is another wonderful Modest Mouse album. We are indeed strangers to ourselves because we don't even know the reason why we are on this planet in these walking meat sacks. This album is about alienation from oneself, from others, and from one's environment. It's about disconnection and a bunch of other things I don't really get. It took several spins for me to fully digest this one. Another typically long, Modest Mouse album that runs close to an hour. But this record is strong all the way through, with several 4.5-star excellent songs. The last two are 5-star gold. The penultimate track, The Best Room, has such a great groove and really takes us to some wonderful places, while the last track, of course, we know is subdued like the opening title track, but spacey and emotionally heavy. Brock pleads to the Lord, even though he's been quoted as saying he's pretty much not a believer and considers Christianity in particular to be a crock of shit, according to what I've read. Um, some of these tracks have sort of a quasi reggae vibe, such as Ansel, a great rock song and moving portrait of the tragic loss of Brock's real life brother in an avalanche. The Ground Walks with Time in a Box is another excellent tune that sports a great groove. Love the addition of some guest singers and the cool instrumental breakdown. Coyotes is a fantastic single, And it's interesting what Brock had to say when asked to comment on this song. He said, "One of my biggest wishes is that we could figure out a way to live with the natural world instead of on top of it." I thought that was interesting. The Brave is sort of a rock and pep talk, at least in parts. God is an Indian and you're an asshole is only about a minute long, but I love it. There's some cool backwards instrumentation in there. I love this album, and I'm not sure why it doesn't get more love than it does. I rate it 4.5 stars.
Yeah, I think it's underrated for sure. Um, my third favorite Mouse album is their album from 2000, The Moon in Antarctic. Third Planet is awesome. Great opener. Love the lyrics. I interpret it as like lyrics about a miscarriage and a family coping with it. Love the line, the universe is shaped exactly like the earth. If you go straight long enough, you'll end up where you were. Seems like a metaphor for grief. Gravity Rides Everything was Modest Mouse's first big song. It was featured in a car commercial, I believe, for Nokia. It's pretty great. I love it. Dark Center of the Universe is probably my favorite song on here. I remember I saw Modest Mouse live in 2015 around the time Strangers to Ourselves came out. And there was a meteor shower right whenever they played this song. It was a magical sight.
Hmm.
Perfect Disguise is a transition song and it flows nicely into the next one, which is Tiny Cities Made of Ashes. That has a bouncy bass line and it's pretty fun. A Different City has a cool atmospheric vibe to it. The cold part is a bit depressing, but it's also a vibe. So is Alone Down There. This is like the depression part of this album, these sequences of songs. The Stars Are Projectors is an epic song. I love the distorted guitar and vocals on this one. I like the film metaphors too on this song lyrically as well. Wild Pack of Family Dogs is short but catchy as hell. Paper Thin Walls is upbeat and fun. This album has a good mix of soft and hard songs, which I like. I Came as a Rat was featured in one of their EPs around this time. It's a great one. I love the lyrics. No one really knows the ones they love. If you knew everything they thought, I bet you wish they'd just shut up. Um, Good stuff. I love the way the song switches from sad to a bit of a more optimistic sound as well. Life Like Weeds is good, but it isn't my favorite. It meanders a little bit. And the album ends with a bang of What People Are Made Of. I think this is an excellent album. It's a bit depressing at points. It might be one of their most depressing albums, next to Lonesome Crowded West, maybe. But I think that's what makes it good. They do change their sound a bit on the next one, and it's a little bit more refined, in my opinion. But for this, I'm bumping up to 4.5 stars. And yeah, I think it's great.
All right, very cool. Um, well, my number three is I'm finally doing The Golden Casket. It's their seventh studio album from 2021. And this is another one that I don't think gets enough love. There are some excellent songs on this one, but it takes a few tracks to get to them. Opening song, Fuck Your Acid Trip, begins with some weird, distorted bass sounds. Cool song, but the verses sound a bit rote in their delivery. I dig the cool little beat change up in the chorus. We Are Between is the first single, another existential Modest Mouse tune. It's got a very satisfying chorus. We're Lucky is a bit la-di-da for my tastes, but it's still a reasonably good song, and I dig the trumpet. Next song, Walking and Running, is where the album gets great. The beat and rhythm guitar playing remind me of 311 in their prime. Jackknife Lee and believe Lisa Molinaro provide the chorus. Wooden Soldiers is a more subdued song with some interesting instrumentation. I dig the lines, making plans in the sands as the tides roll in. And just being here now is enough for me. Transmitting Receiving is a good song that consists of a wild, random list featuring just about anything under the sun you could think of. The Sun Hasn't Left is absolute gold, one of the few truly positive and uplifting Modest Mouse songs featuring some tasty marimba. Brock is quoted around this time as saying, "It's hard to be a dad and be as pessimistic as I want to be. There's something good about being a parent and just being aware that, not for your sake, you don't want this place to fucking suck. For anyone. I don't want other kids to have to live in shitty situations because I like my kids." Good man. Lace Your Shoes is another gold song which Brock addresses to his children. Brock is looking forward to seeing his kids grow. One line really struck me. "I can't wait to see you go to school. I hate that this will happen. I know that this will happen. Someone's gonna be cruel." Ain't that the truth? If there's one thing you can count on, kids will be cruel at school. Never Fuck a Spider on the Fly is yet another gold song. It's just so pleasing melodically and beautifully constructed. I dig the bubbling background you hear on Leave a Light On. And Back to the Middle is a glorious album closer. So this is a fantastic album, loaded with 4.5-star excellent and 5-star gold songs. It has a superb flow, and I appreciate Isaac's newfound optimism, which grew out of the love he has for his children. He sounds like a man who has come to understand that the world is messy and imperfect, yet there is still much to love. Jackknife Lee's detailed production really adds a lot of color. I love the Golden Casket, but it does take a few songs before the album gets great, which is why I'm rating it 4.5 stars.
Well, Rich, it appears we have the same top two. The question is in what order? So I will reveal that right now. My number two is We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank. It's a continuation of their previous album, but I feel like the songs on here are a little bit more epic sounding. March into the Sea has a sea shanty instrumental going on. I like the sing-songy thing that Isaac is doing on this song. It sounds fun. And I love the way it transitions into their lead single, Dashboard, which I think is fantastic single. I love the music video too. It's very fun. Makes you want to sing along. It's one of my favorites on this album. Fire It Up has a very strong bass line. I think it's a great song. I think the sequencing on this album is great because there's a big vibe change between Fire It Up and the next song, Florida, but it flows really seamlessly, I think. And Florida is a cool song that sounds a bit radio friendly for indie rock channels. I can see it being on the radio. Parting of the Century is good, has some kind of stomp claps going on. It's a bit too long, but I think it's pretty good. I do love whenever the strings come in at the end and it sort of explodes. Miss the Boat is excellent, one of my favorites on this one. Isaac sounds contemplative and reflects on a relationship. It's a great one. Probably my second favorite song on this album. We've Got Everything is another indie rocker sort of song. I love the guitars on this one. Fly Trapped in a Jar is great. I think Isaac sounds unhinged on this one, and he just does it great. Education is not my favorite song here, but it's pretty good. Little Motel is a slower ballad like song. It's pretty good and quite emotional. Steam Ingenious sounds a bit fuzzy, but it's still pretty good. Spitting Venom, probably a top three song on here. It rules. It's long, but it doesn't feel long. I love the guitars on this, and I love the way it builds. And the quiet part at the end, whenever the horns come in, is pretty good as well. People as Places as People also sounds very radio friendly, a contrast from their last song, Spitting Venom, which I just talked about. And the album ends with Invisible, which is very fun. I like to sing scream to this one. Um, Overall, this album is great. I think it rules. It's probably Modest Mouse's most hard rocking sounding album. And I'm going another 4.5 out of 5 for this one.
All right, very cool. Now to see if we line up.
Yeah.
We do not.
Uh-oh.
My number two is Good News for People Who Love Bad News. Their
Nice.
fourth studio album came out in 2004. Modest Mouse took their game up a few notches with Good News for People Who Love Bad News. Isaac Brock offers more pessimistic takes on life, sounding downright bleak at times. But there's also a more positive side to this album, and it's noticeably more fun and upbeat than everything that came before it. It begins with a brief horn intro, and I do like the various interludes that help to create more of a cohesive album experience. I have heard this record many times, but never realized there was a mellotron at the end of the first song, The World at Large. It's gorgeous. The song is sort of a flashback to their earlier sound. It sounds like it could have come off their first album, except for the fact that it's notably better than anything off that debut. Float On is the mega hit, their most popular song by far, and with good reason, I would say. Surely their most feel-good song. It's got great lines like, I backed my car into a cop car the other day. Well, he just drove off. Sometimes life's okay. I used to think Ocean Breathe Salty suffered a bit coming after Float On, but I'm used to it now, and it's a great song, so quirky and catchy. I dig the line, you wasted life. Why wouldn't you waste the afterlife? Bury Me With It is a cool fuck everything sort of song. Dance Hall is frantic, while Bukowski laments the encroaching drudgery of life and asks, who would want to be an asshole like Charles Bukowski? The View is another great one. Isaac sings, if life's not beautiful without the pain, well, I'd just rather never ever even see beauty again. I get that. The album's final quarter is loaded with gold songs. Blame It on the Tetons is such a lovely contemplative tune. Blame It on the Tetons. Yeah, I need a cold one. Black Cadillacs might be my favorite. Apparently about a relationship falling apart. Those lines, and we were done, done, done with all the fucking around really hit home. And then the final song, The Good Times Are Killing Me, is so poignant. The good times will indeed kill you if they involve drugs or alcohol. I rate this album 5 stars. I fully expected it to be number one, and I absolutely did not expect what ended up getting there.
Nice, nice. Well, that's my number one. I think it's just incredible. It has horns on this album, if you can't tell from the horn intro. I think The World at Large is such a beautiful tune. It sounds introspective and also has some buzz, which they do pretty well. It transitions into the first Modest Mouse song I heard, Float On, which I think is incredible. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, I love the music video with the sheep and the cool animation. I think it's a 10 out of 10 song. Ocean Breeze Salty is one of my favorite Modest Mouse songs as well. I won't say where it lands on my top 10 songs, but I do love the lyrics. And good luck for your sake. I hope heaven and hell are really there, but I wouldn't hold my breath. You wasted life, why wouldn't you waste death? Very, very good lyrics. Dig Your Grave is a transition song that goes into Bury Me With It. And I love whenever Isaac Brock screams, Bury me with it. So good. It also name drops the album's title, Good News for People Who Love Bad News, in the song. I love whenever artists do that. Dancehall is so much fun. Great bass, and Isaac is just killing it on this one. I think Bukowski is excellent. I love the folky guitar on this one, and it's so catchy. Um, I like how he likens God to a control freak on this one as well. Um, and I love the horns on this Devil's Workday. It's very fun. The View is another bouncy tune. It makes you want to thump your feet. And I love the lyrics, like you said, if it takes shit to make bliss, then I feel very blissfully. Um, Satin in a Coffin is much fun too. I love the thumping horns and the folky guitar. Um, and Blame It on the Tetons is pretty good. It's not my favorite on this one, but I think it's still five-star song. I love the lyrics on it. Black Cadillacs is a short driving sounding kind of song. I can see myself driving to it. And One Chance is pretty good. And The Closer Rules, it's a very true sentiment as well. The good times can kill you if you go overboard with stuff like drugs or alcohol. I love this album. I think it's Modest Mouse's best album, and it's a 10 out of 10 or 5 stars for me. I think it's perfect from front to back.
All right, very cool. I'm glad we both agree on that rating.
Oh yeah.
So my number one is their fifth studio album, We Were Dead Before the Ship Even Sank, which came out in 2007. I had a copy of this back when it came out, and it never really clicked with me. For some reason, it has taken a long time for me to realize how great it is. This album is a grower because these songs tend to progress through unexpected twists, turns, and wild juxtapositions that take a while to sink in. Most of these songs are not instantly gratifying, but at this point, I consider them all to be either excellent or five-star gold. The album is expertly produced, featuring lots of unusual instrumentation, such as the bells and accordion we hear on the opening song, March into the Sea. It comes across as sort of an oddball sea shanty, with aggressive verses and soft choruses. The transition into the next song, Dashboard, is killer. Dashboard is a great first single with tasty guitar, horns, and strings. This is the only Modest Mouse album to feature Johnny Marr of the Smiths, who was briefly in the band around this time. Marr's guitar here doesn't remind me of the Smiths. His playing is always in service to the songs, and he fits in with the band nicely. James Mercer of the Shins sings backing vocals on three of these tunes, and he sounds great. You can hear him on Florida, which is a hallucinatory song featuring some radical contrast between various segments. This song in particular took a long time for me to appreciate. The lyrics on this album are intriguing but difficult to understand. Death is a prominent subject, such as on Parting of the Sensory, and nautical themes flow throughout. Missed the Boat is gold, the second single, and a good example of how sophisticated these songs are. It's so cool the way the song introduces a second chorus somewhere in the middle and then returns to the original chorus toward the end. So this is truly an amazing album. You just have to get on its wavelength to appreciate it. 5 stars.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, before we sign off, we're going to list off our top 10 favorite Modest Mouse songs. And go ahead and kick it off, Clay. You can mention honorable mentions if you want.
Um, I actually didn't write down any honorable mentions,
Okay.
but I'm sure most of the album of Good News for people who love bad news would probably make my honorable mentions, as well as a couple tracks from my second favorite album, We Were Dead Before the Ship Has Sank. Um, but my number 10 is History Sticks to Your Feet from the EP No One's First and You're Next. My number 9 is Gravity Rides Everything from the Moon in Antarctic. My number 8 is The Ground Walks with Time in a Box from Strangers to Ourselves. My number 7 is Dashboard from We Were Dead Before the Ship Has Sank. My number 6 is Cowboy Dan from The Lonesome Crowded West. My number 5 is Float On from Good News for people who love bad news. My number 4 is Miss the Boat from We Were Dead Before the Ship Has Even Sank. My number 3 is Dark Center of the Universe from the Moon in Antarctic. My number 2 is Night on the Sun from the EP Everywhere in His Nasty Parlor Tricks. And my number 1 is Ocean Breeze Salty from Good News for people who love bad news.
Wow. Okay. That was unexpected, but cool.
Yeah.
I did listen to the EPs and I was just kind of checking them out to see if anything might make my top 10, and nothing did. So,
Oh,
um, as far as honorable mentions, I've got 4 songs from Good News: Ocean Breathe Salty, The View, and especially Blame It on the Tetons and The Good Times Are Killing Me. These last two are actually very meaningful to me, but they got pushed off the top 10 due to my newfound enthusiasm for We Were Dead. So, my number 10 is Little Motel from We Were Dead. Number 9 is Picking Dragon's Pockets from An Eraser and a Maze. Number 8 is Black Cadillac from Good News. Number 7, The World at Large from Good News. Number 6, I Missed the Boat from We Were Dead. Number 5, The Sun Hasn't Left from The Golden Casket. Number 4, We've Got Everything from We Were Dead. Number 3, Fire It Up from We Were Dead. Number 2, Dashboard from We Were Dead. And number 1, I'm basic, Float On from Good News.
nice.
Couldn't resist going with their most popular song. I just think it's brilliant.
It
And yeah,
is
the video is a lot of fun too.
indeed.
All right, Clay, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Um, I really love this band. I know some people out there don't like them as much. I think Joe from Taste Like Music, I don't think he's a big fan of Modest Mouse, or at least the single Float On. And a lot of people probably wouldn't think that it's up there as being Claycore or a band that I would be in tune to, but I really love their period from the 2000s to 2007. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I got to 5 stars twice. Um, Didn't I see the new album, An Eraser and a Maze, in the number one position of Tom Williams' list of albums of the year?
I think so. He might have. I'm
Yeah,
going to ask him.
that is interesting. But yeah, I think that is a really cool album, and I would love to see him live. So
Oh
maybe
yeah.
one day.
They put on a great show. I've seen them once.
Oh, you saw him? Cool,
Yep. Yep.
cool, great show, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's when they had the meteor shower during Dark Center of the Universe.
Wow.
There was a meteor shower outside whenever I saw them. It was very neat.
All right. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Clay.
Yes,
It was
sir.
a blast. It always is. Peace out, y'all. Have a good
Bye.
one.